Hey, what's up guys? This is Cole with CJC Off-Road. Today we wanted to show you guys Carli's 3¼ backcountry system for the Ram 2500 applications. Over the years, this has been one of the most popular systems available for these trucks, and for good reason. This system actually strikes some of the best balance on the market in terms of on-road ride quality with off-road performance that most of us will actually be using. What I mean by that is this system is not really designed around high-speed off-road usage, but for the off-road type of usage that most of us will be doing, realistically, it is the perfect balance. You may notice that we actually offer both a 2.5-inch leveling backcountry as well as this 3¼ inch backcountry system that we're highlighting in this video. If you're interested in the 2.5-inch leveling height backcountry system, we actually offer an entirely separate video for that. But essentially what the difference is the 2.5-inch leveling backcountry system is 2 front coils, 4 shocks, and an adjustable track bar. This 3¼ inch system is a lot more involved because it adjusts rear spring rates as well, and it sits a little bit taller. With that taller height, there are a lot more necessary geometry correction components involved as well. While 3.25-inch may seem like an odd height, Carli actually very specifically chose this height because it allowed them to maximize the amount of both upward and downward suspension travel while keeping the truck at a very practical height that most of us will use these trucks for. Speaking of height, this truck is actually on 38-inch tires with only 3¼ inches of lift. So you'll always may say, hey, I need taller lift to fit my tires. That may not be the case. So we really recommend looking into that prior to choosing a suspension height, because a lot of times you'll find you actually don't need taller than the 3¼ for tire clearance. So let's go ahead and do a quick rundown of what these systems entail. Up front, you'll have the 3¼ inch linear rate front Carli springs. These springs are actually side specific, and they are also engine specific. So the cool thing with these Carli systems, these Carli backcountry systems specifically, is they offer both a diesel and a gas profile. That alters both the front coil springs as well as the shock tuning all around. So in this case, this system utilizes a 3¼ inch diesel coils on this truck here. In order to achieve that 3¼ inch height, there are a lot more components required for everything to cycle properly. So what Carli did with these systems is utilize a custom fabricated radius arm drop. This actually allows you to get a flat seat on the front coils, so you don't get the dreaded coil bell you see mentioned a lot with these trucks online. In addition to that, it helps to bring caster into the correct range. Essentially what that translates to is this truck will align very much like a stock truck even though it's lifted. So a really cool thing Carli did with those radius arm drops. Something to note with the Spec 2.0 backcountry shocks is there are different diesel and gas versions. That's very unique to Carli. You don't find that with most manufacturers of aftermarket parts for these trucks. And Carli actually utilizes rear reservoir shocks on these 2500s. Now, if you look at most 2500 reservoir setups for these Ram 2500s, you'll notice most of them do not utilize a reservoir rear shock. That is something that's very unique to the Carli's backcountries, both in the 2.5-inch and the 3¼ inch height. And what's really cool about this is, being that they have a reservoir shock in the back, you take the weight of these trucks, roughly 8,000 pounds, and you have significantly more balanced handling than running a reservoir front and a non-reservoir in the rear. So really cool stuff Carli did with these shocks. Bringing them in-house really allowed them to do a lot of custom construction on these, both in terms of lengths and in terms of tuning to both maximize travel as well as ride quality and handling. Speaking of the rear suspension, this system utilizes Carli's multi-rate rear coils. Really cool option they have on these is there's either an R1 or an R2 rear coil. In this case, we opted for the R1 rear coil, which is a great coil option for trucks that are unloaded most of the time. Carli also offers the flexibility to choose their R2 rear coil option, which actually allows for more weight to be carried in the back of the truck. In this case, we're just basically daily driving this truck, so I opted for the R1 coils. I like how they ride, I like how they sit. If you're looking to tow heavily with your truck, you might notice these are soft rear coils. We offer a variety of options to address that as well. One being the full travel airbags, which we've highlighted in another video on this YouTube channel. Alternatively, Timbrins are a very popular option in the rear of these trucks as well. So there are a variety of options for towing with these trucks, even with the softer rear coil options. Speaking of softening the overall ride quality of these trucks, Carli does offer a few different options in addition to the base 3¼ backcountry system. On this truck, we opted for Carli's fabricated radius arms. The fabricated radius arms actually cycle more easily, allowing for easier articulation than the stock arms. In addition to that, they provide a provision to mount a limit strap. Really cool stuff that you usually see in desert off-road trucks. Speaking of softening the ride, we added Carli's front torsion sway bar. Front torsion sway bar is actually one of the biggest improvements you can add to these trucks in addition to this backcountry system itself. It helps not only when pulling into a driveway to reduce the side-to-side rocking, but also on uneven roads, the truck just feels very composed. So very cool stuff Carli has with those products there. We also opted for Carli's low mount steering stabilizer to help reduce steering wheel feedback with larger tires. And lastly, from Carli, we added their front differential guard. Really cool protection for the front axle when the truck's taken off-road. Also looks really cool under the truck, so awesome upgrade there for the price. One of the most common questions we receive when customers are shopping these systems is, what are the main differences between the commuter and the backcountry? They're the two most entry-level 3 1/4 systems at their price points. And so let's go ahead and jump behind the wheel of the truck, and I'll go ahead and show you guys how these backcountries perform. We really want to bring you guys along for the ride and show you how we can basically illustrate the seat of the pants feeling from the different shock packages that Carli offers. So what we have here is a couple of the bigger dips we take these trucks over. I'm going to hit this thing about 25 miles an hour. You'll notice how the truck barely moves, the cab's nice and flat. Here's a much larger section right here. We'll go ahead and hit these dips as well. A little more speed this time. You'll notice that's 30 miles an hour with some pretty sizable drainage dips on the road. Traditionally, a stock truck, we'd be coming out of the seat, obviously. But even with Carli's commuter system without the reservoirs, yes, it'd be similar in terms of softness, but what these reservoirs are actually doing with the additional damping they offer is to help further control what the truck's doing. So real world translation for that is reservoirs aren't just an aesthetic upgrade, but they are also a very functional upgrade to basically help with how the truck feels in terms of composure. This affects both how the trucks ride off-road as well as how the trucks handle higher speeds as well. So there are a lot of benefits to actually having more damping in the shocks on these trucks. Like we said in the truck, the main benefit of the reservoirs on these shocks is not the look, although they do look cool. The main goal here is cooling. So the reservoir actually does help to keep the truck cooler over longer periods of time. So when the shocks are cooler over longer periods of time, Carli has the ability to actually provide more rebound and compression damping. And what that results in is a much more controlled ride over different types of terrain. If you're looking to hit higher speeds off-road, 30, 40 miles an hour on washboard roads, if you're looking to hit large dips, this is a much more capable system than what the commuter system offers. That said, they both actually still ride great on the street, so you're not really sacrificing much with the backcountry by going to that option. And so for that reason, that's actually why it has become one of the most popular systems within Carli's catalog. Now, one of our favorite elements of any build is the wheel and tire package. So to round out this build, we opted to run 18-inch foundation wheels in a black finish with the silver ring option along with black hardware. We paired those with Nitto's 38-inch ridge grapplers to basically really fill out the fender wells and offer a very cool finish look for the build. The 3 1/4-inch backcountry system has been one of our favorites over the years, and it's been one of the most popular systems we've offered over the years, and for good reason. It offers a great balance in terms of performance for dollars spent. I'd say its ride quality is about as good as you're going to get for the price point. And for most people, the system is a great fit in terms of its off-road capability as well. This is the ideal system if you're looking for a jack-of-all-trades system that'll ride great going to work, it'll tow the trailer on the weekends, and it'll allow you to take the truck off-road as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions on these systems or the various options available for them, we are more than happy to help in any way we can. Catch you guys in the next video.